Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into something pretty amazing, how one of India's most vulnerable states is pulling off an incredible environmental comeback. And really, it's a story that could become a vital blueprint for climate-vulnerable regions everywhere. So, let's get right into it. How does a place that's constantly hit by floods even begin to fight back against something as huge as climate change? We're going to look at a fascinating case study from the state of Bihar in India, because its story is all about facing these extreme challenges head-on. And what's great is we're not just speculating here, we are going straight to the source material. This is a big, comprehensive government survey that lays out their entire playbook for tackling the environment, climate change, and disaster management. Okay, first things first. To really get why their solution is so impressive, you have to understand the sheer scale of the challenge they're up against. Bihar's geography alone sets the stage for what is a constant battle with nature. So you've got this wild paradox, right? The very same river systems that make the land so incredibly fertile are also the source of its biggest threat. We're talking massive vulnerability. And of course, climate change is just pouring fuel on that fire, hitting the state's huge agricultural sector and its poorest communities the hardest.
And check this out. This data really paints a picture. On the left, you can see the rainfall is just all over the place, totally unpredictable, especially during that critical monsoon season. Then on the right, you've got these extreme temperatures becoming the new normal. Imagine you're a farmer trying to make a living with that kind of uncertainty. It's the heart of the crisis for them.
So, faced with all this, what did Bihar do? Well, this is where it gets really interesting. They didn't just come up with some new policy to sit on a shelf. Nope, they put serious cash behind it with something they call green budgeting. Basically, they started tracking every single rupee spent on protecting and restoring the environment.
And the speed of this investment, it's just staggering. I mean, we're talking about a more than fourfold increase in spending dedicated specifically to climate adaptation and mitigation. And that happened in just 3 years. That's not a small bump. That's a massive declaration that they are all in.
And here's what that looks like in actual numbers. You can see the state's green budget just skyrocketed. From just over 3,300 crore rupees to nearly 17,000 crore. Think about that. That's not just pocket change. That is a full-on war chest to fund everything from mass tree planting to securing their water resources.
And this is so important, right? All that money wasn't just some accounting exercise. It was put to work immediately, funding these huge, ambitious projects that you can actually go out and see on the ground.
Okay, so the centerpiece of all this is a mission called Jal Jeevan Hariyali, which translates to water, life, and greenery. The goals are simple but massive. Improve water security and expand the state's green cover. And how'd they do it? They planted over 200 million saplings. 200 million! And they did it by working hand-in-hand with local farmers and communities.
So the big question is it actually working? Well, the data is pretty clear. The answer is yes. You can see the steady, measurable growth in the state's total forest and tree cover. We're talking about gaining nearly 700 square kilometers of new green space over the last decade.
But honestly, this next part is what really gets me. It's not just about the number of trees they planted. It's about the quality of the forests they're building. The area of what's called very dense forest, the really healthy biodiverse kind, has jumped by an incredible 67%. That's how you know this is working. They're creating ecosystems that can actually last.
And of course, when you have healthier, denser forests, you get this amazing ripple effect. It directly helps protect two other critical assets for the state: its water supply and its unique wildlife. And here's a huge win for the climate. These revived forests act like giant sponges for carbon dioxide. I mean, look at this chart. A whopping 63% of that carbon is being stored not just in the trees, but in the soil itself. Healthy soil is an absolute powerhouse when it comes to fighting climate change. And you know what happens when you bring back the habitat, right? The animals come back. It's a simple formula. These healthier forests and cleaner rivers have become a lifeline for Bihar's amazing and diverse animal population. And this isn't by accident. The state is actively protecting these animals. We're talking about India's only sanctuary for the endangered Gangetic dolphin. Plus, they're beefing up the Valmiki Tiger Reserve and restoring hundreds of wetlands all across the state. These are huge wins.
Okay, so when you step back and look at the whole picture, what does this all add up to? Well, Bihar's strategy starts to look less like a single project and more like a real blueprint for how to build resilience.
It really comes down to 4 key things they did right. 1.
They were brutally honest about how vulnerable they were. 2. They put their money where their mouth was with that green budget. 3. They got everyone involved, from the government down to the local villages. And 4. They're actually tracking their progress, so they know what's working. It's a powerful model.
Which, leaves us with this one big, important question. We've just walked through how one state is managing to turn things around, but could these core ideas, truly linking policy with real money and getting the whole community on board, could that be the playbook that so many other vulnerable places around the world are looking for?